by the Punch TV. So much and then the first time I do her channel here. Subscribe my and like and share. We will share our comment section or for my everything for some minimum a political trending story be up to for my chess. Everything for a gentleman, just a alphabet be a can be everything for my uncle near uncle video name right by a munchimuna every blame.
My thoughts are quite frankly simple and straightforward in this matter. I still stand by my earlier thought that the Supreme Court did not have the requisite jurisdiction to entertain the matter. But even before dealing with this issue, let me remind our listeners, of the fact that the political parties all have Article 97 in their constitutions. For instance, the NPP Constitution, Article 3, Clause 9, Subclause 1, follows closely the wording of Article 97. And on that score, the NPP expelled certain members they found to be to across the carpet. That is Alan Mantin and Anon Hinintum. And the press release was signed by Justin Kodria Frempong, the General Secretary, who is himself a lawyer. Therefore, I see in this action a double standard by Apenyo marking. And at the end of this embarrassment, I think that he should apologize to this nation for this needless legal pressure that is causing so much and it's taking so much of our time. Having said that, let me say quickly that the majority judgment that was read by the Honorable Dakwe Sarije SC, for me, missed the jurisdictional issue. The question they pose for themselves is not, to my mind, the issue of jurisdiction that they should have entertained. The right frame or the framework was set clearly spelled out by Justice Tanko Amadou, who didn't miss any words at all in pointing out that their lawsuits did not have jurisdiction to entertain the matter. So my thoughts are no different from my earlier thoughts. The court didn't have the jurisdiction.
But sir, speaking to a few people who I would imagine have read the judgments, they appear to agree with the reasoning of the 7 justices you're saying does not add up.
When we talk of the issue of jurisdiction, we do not mean the amenability of the parties to a certain provision of the Constitution, but i.e. Article 2.1 and Article 131 of the 1992 Constitution. The jurisdictional issue was whether or not the parties were properly before the court. We have said countless times that the Speaker shouldn't have been dragged initially. The Speaker could only have been joined to the action by order of the Supreme Court, because per Article 88.5, only the Attorney General ought to have been dragged in the first place by Apenyo marking to the Supreme Court as the nominal defendant, and then realizing the conflict of interest in allowing the Attorney General to also represent the Speaker. What the Supreme Court ought properly to have done was to have ordered the joinder of the Speaker and to say that if the Attorney General were allowed, to have the most say in this matter, it will result in the executive bringing a case and prosecuting and defending the case itself. This is the point that we are missing. For me, it is not the invocation of Article 2.1 or 1. For me, the issue is whether there was a defendant on the 18th of October. At the time the application was ex parte, the Attorney General had not been set.
Right, I'm afraid we've got to leave it here. Thank you very much. One of our top stories tonight, the Supreme Court, in its reasoning for the ruling on the case of the vacant seats, has said that the ruling by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, cannot take effect in this current parliament. In a 109-page ruling, the Apex Court said a member of parliament can only be considered to have vacated their seat if they change their political identity and remain in parliament under the new identity. Let me bring you some reasoning behind the majority justices and the two dissenting justices as contained in the 109-page ruling. So I'll start off first of all with the majority opinion, and they say that it follows from the above, therefore, that the only plausible conclusion which must necessarily flow from a holistic and contextual reading of Article 97(1)(g) and (h) is that an MP's seat shall be vacated upon departure from the cohort of his elected party in Parliament to join another party in Parliament while seeking to remain that Parliament as member of the new party. It goes further to say that similarly, an independent MP who joins the cohort of a party in Parliament while they remain members of the Parliament for which they were elected as independent member will have to vacate the seats tagged as that of an independent member. Now, consequently, Article 97(1)(g) and (h) must be understood within their contextual framework with no implicit or explicit indication that they pertain to future electoral aspirations or intentions that will materialize in subsequent terms, such as an MP contesting under a different ticket in the next election cycle. So, it concludes by saying that this court will reiterate a purposive interpretation of Article 97(1)(g) and (h) and maintain the distinction between midterm changes in political allegiance and future electoral plans. Now, so, some of the justices who held concurrent opinions to this, like Justice S.K. Asiedu, for instance, said, and I quote, "I wish to state that a common thread runs through each of the provisions in Article 97(1)(b) to (h), and that thread is a condition precedent without which a member of Parliament cannot, in law, be said to have forfeited his seat in Parliament." Let's now engage the thought.
By law. Ballot statistics no I don't know, say NDC for taking notice of something. Mamika say mega ballot statistics na. Okay? Yes, we are going to expose you one by one. Once our money are about total registered voters, those who are valid, those who are absent, those who are this, that. There is 841 names here. Yeah? 841 names. Wamudi ashe baby. Say sa microphone. Wamanti me wamusi polling stations are less than say 50 or say then omu collapse. Ya di akeka bi hu. Wamwaja figure bi say e no no de. Wamanti me ya mo stations. Nanso so that day no. Wamu ba wambe mo ato aba. Dia chomdi. Look, I can tell you for a fact. MPP has sent notice to one members of our to fill a form those who are willing to vote. What? Mena make at you. Kokoye, they say Monko passport office. How they be able to do Ghana passport for people who Mukrambo and your magic of Ghana passport? Tino me announcement say Obi am for passport over. One more year, one more day, yes. Hey, me see a debate, me say silence me. Pass in the movie beba. Ti Ashanti region mo afanfanto mo betima protect ballot no. What? You have no idea. Me ye ka say. Obi antumi ntumi enu me say me ne Kofi Boache Asia. Say Kofi Boache is in charge of NDC there. I will be in charge of movement for change in Ashanti region. Security. When I make what don't go who dey bisi wo hodum. Obu ba who dey bisi. Me oba me so na mo ye 20 me fesimu. It is hard to mo ye no. Look, make away all other political parties take notice. That is the avenue. Wa mo ba be yes ade no. Wa mo si we ni di amenti no. Mo ma no nto na mo ntro. Wa mo be chegu country no mu. When you be born who say na 500,000 our money registered voters no ma be to abano me patch all the twema me na mention there explanations you know 9 good okay once a voter statistics in here registered voters on biometric register 18,600,000 so figures in now number 1 oba what's the number 1 voters on biometric register refers to voters who will be biometrically verified on election day. That is number 1. Number 2, special voters. What's it? Special voters refers to voters who have special duties on election day, and for that reason are allowed by law to vote earlier than it is special voting. Security for the media for Number 3, voters without biometric data. Voters without biometric data refers to voters who registered by whose biometric data got corrupted for one reason or the other. They will be manually verified on election day. Watch them. Yanko number 4, total valid voters. Total number of valid voters for 2024 general election is 18,774,159. And what you A plus B plus C. The number of absentee. That's right. With biometric data, special voters, and then voters without biometric and no NMI is our total number. A plus B plus C, NMI, the total of 18,774,000. Now, number 9. Number 9 has a number of absent voters. But we share number 5, a total number of voters on exceptions list. Exception. What is exception here? We share number 6, number of voters on multiple list. Then number 7, total number of voters on proxy list. Now, over number 8, total number of transfer voters. But there is clear. But I did back one exception list. Anna, multiple list. Number 9, the total number of absent lists should equal the sum of special voters plus transfer voters. Special voters, and then transfer voters. However, the number of polling stations were administratively closed, either because they did not meet the minimum voter threshold required for operations, or because local community requested the commission to close the polling stations for legitimate reasons. Voters from the closed stations were transferred to I'm Sabakubi to us. Baby, I'm 841. The second paper 800 and something. No exceptional list in the also baby. Absent and then the special voting. Now would be that year. You were 800 and something. They are saying say on that day so muba wa mu didn't register mu o kita the voter ID card intinu ye be man ato no mo true dey need ato nobody is going to allow this. Nobody is going to allow it. Please cancel for these are some of the things you people should be doing. We might just you hold not to hold. Eti ubakwa say na yantiman fa di ancha wadi baba ho new register na ko be 1 million people. Those people you could not put them on, they are not going to vote. Fantastic. Simple and register. They say yes, say them to hold the next meeting that no Hinto is going to raise it, and this is for Monteki or other political parties. Fantastic. Take it upon yourself. Yan konko raise this issue no. What is enkofobi abodua election achieve for mudi that achieve person na bikin bunu hodun bunu is abodua yes nkransa ho baby mabodua wo mo twa nantwe baako 4 engran baako 4 chinafo adaka de menim no dodo ye twa baako ama yisi wo mo say Yisi ni bia obeye kululu obe change figure wo de ballot paper bo mo obi so onko tintum omo twa wo de ato now Jubilee House omo twa ba ko de amomo muti says card ko mo obi won konko yese ya omo twa mamo police for the security services omo twa ba ko amomo ado omo twa ba ko ama political parties tie ne tie ni ye obi catch yourself kokoye basa don't go
very well. Also, Diana Martin Kano Movement for Change, Director of Special Duties, and on and Ebejuche and Komo. Mugabe Mas in meeting.
And then the first time I do her channel, subscribe my and like and share. We will share our comment section for my